that people who go to prison for child molestation, they have their own separate wing. The reason for that is because when they keep them with the other people and people find out what they're in for, and they find out that they're there for child molestation, they kill them. And they kill them in the most gruesome type of deaths. So in order to avoid that, they just give them their own special wing. So anyways, her boss never let her go work on that side of the wing. But this one time, I think the one who's supposed to do that shift didn't show up, but for whatever reason, he's like, okay, I would like you to go to that wing, you know, and assist over there.
Hello everybody, welcome to the beloved channel. My name is Lois Kiri.
And I'm James Kiri.
And if you are new here, karibu sana. If you are returning, thank you so much for coming back to watch these videos. So today we have a very sensitive topic. And we want to talk about how you can protect your children from child predators. We definitely want to just discuss the things that we have learned. We are not experts in any way. We are not professionals when it comes to these topics. We're just sharing some of these things that we have learned along the way, in hopes that this will be something that you can also learn from.
Yes, so our parents, who they call the baby boomer generation, I think for them they didn't have to deal with these things. There were not a lot of child predators back in the day. But our generation, the millennials and the Gen Z, you know, this is something that we are dealing with right now, and it's very prevalent in the community, whether you're here in America, in Africa, whatever continent you're in. And I've seen some videos about, you know, some videos in Asia where, you know how all these cameras are on the streets, and there's a lot, and I mean a lot, like a lot of videos of children just being stolen from their families. Like a kid can be just playing outside, people come in a motorcycle, they take the kid, you know. And it's sad, but that's the reality of the world we live in now. And like as she said, now that we are parents, we are very aware of this, and we have to keep an eye out, we have to keep an ear out. And since it is what it is, we have to adapt and just be more protective of our children.
You know, I'm just thinking how it has become so unsafe nowadays. You can't even leave your child to go outside and play all by themselves. You have to keep an eye on them. Coming from Kenya, our parents did not have to worry about these things. You know, they would leave us go outside and play with other kids and just come back whenever time that we wanted. But nowadays, things have really changed. You leave your child outside for just a few minutes, the next thing you don't even know what happened to your child. I have heard in Florida, even when you go to the store with your child, like, you have to be very careful because children are being grabbed even when you are in the store. For example, I heard this story. There was this lady, she was in Target and she was just shopping, and her children were just playing on the aisle, but she was keeping an eye on them. And then she saw this guy who was watching her kids, and she noticed that the guy kept following the children. So she went and grabbed her children, and that guy actually started following her. She alerted the security, and once she called the security, the guy left, and he didn't come back. But she had to be very careful. Even going into the car, she had to make sure that the guy did not follow them. This just shows you how insecure it has become in this world that we live in, and we have to be very careful, because if it's not your child, it could be you yourself, you know, not just the children, but women, and not just women too, but also men, you know. But we just have to be very watchful and very careful. Don't let your child just wander off and go play all by themselves. Just make sure you're keeping an eye on them and you're paying attention, because it just takes a second and they are gone. Yeah.
I was reading, this happened, I don't remember exactly which year, but it was a couple of years ago, and there was a story about this I think he was a gentleman who let his son go into the man's bathroom by himself. And within the short time of going into the bathroom by himself, someone molested that child.
Oh my goodness.
Like, how crazy is that? The dad was there, he just let his son go into the bathroom by himself. And that's just is testament to what the world is right now. And so we don't have the luxury of just letting our kids, go and roam free, or just letting them go into the bathroom by themselves. The other day I was in the bathroom and I found this guy standing, and I asked him, I'm like, hey, are you in line? He's like, no, I'm actually waiting for my son.
Good.
Yeah, and I thought to myself, I'm like, this is a responsible dad. That's what you're supposed to do. Like, he was literally waiting outside. Like, the son is in the bathroom over there.
Yeah.
I never got to see the son. I don't know if he was a big boy or a small boy.
Yeah.
But that's literally how it is right now. You have to be, if you can't go into the bathroom with your child, you just stand outside the door and you wait for them.
You just wait for them. And then the unfortunate thing is that this does not only happen outside, but also when you leave somebody with your child. Like if you get someone to babysit your child, or even just within the family members, even in schools too, these things, they happen everywhere, because you can only protect your child so much. But at the end of the day, we have to really pray for our children. We have to commit them to the Lord. Just make sure you say a word of prayer over your child every single day. Cover them with the blood of Jesus, because these predators, they are everywhere. Not in school, at home. It could be I'm sorry to say this, but it could be your brother, your sister. You've left your child with your brother. You've left your child with, let's say, your uncle, your auntie, and they do something to your child. And it's so unfortunate, because it's not supposed to be that way. We're supposed to protect these children.
Yeah. Like, going back to what you started first by saying you can't leave anyone with your child. Do you remember that story of our friend who... Can you tell them that story? Who wanted to let you babysit, then you were going to work and I was home that day?
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, at that time we didn't have any children, and so a friend asked me if I could babysit their daughter, and I told them I had to work that day, and I offered if my husband could actually babysit the girl. And the lady told me, no, I don't feel comfortable leaving my daughter with a guy, so I would rather have you babysit the girl. At that moment, I was a little bit hurt, because I did understand. And now, the fact that I've become a parent, now I see why she told me that.
I remember when that happened. Yeah, it's true. She got a bit offended. She's like, why would she think like that? I don't think you'll ever do anything. And I said, yeah, I completely get it. Like, I completely understand why she would not feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And it's just that this goes back to the thing where you really don't know anyone.
Yes.
Honestly, you think you know somebody, but you only know what they let you see.
Yeah.
You don't know what is in someone's mind, like what is in the depths, the deep, dark places of their mind, what they think and what type of a person they are. And they might be the nicest person, they might be the funniest, but you honestly don't know. I can say I know my wife and she knows me, but also there are also some things, everybody has some things that maybe somebody else might not completely know about yourself, Yeah. And when I say some things, is something inside of you that you might not even be aware of. So that's why, going back to that, I completely understand why she say that.
Even when it comes to changing diapers, you cannot give your friend or your brother, your uncle, just any guy, your child, especially when it comes to girls. Like, you can't give your child to that person for them to change your child's diaper.
Yeah, I completely agree. And even when we got a daughter, I told my wife, whenever you change her diaper, make sure you go to like a different room.
Yeah.
Just take her from the vicinity, because girls have to be really protected. Yeah. Even when they're young. Yeah. For boys, it's a little bit different. Boys don't care. Most people don't care. But even for them, though, it's still good to take them into a different room and change their diaper. Because what that happens is it lets the child know, like, okay, when I'm being naked, I'm being naked in a private place.
Yes.
Because when it gets to that point, when you start teaching them about their physiology, about their body parts and everything, when you start telling them, oh, you cannot let people see this side of you, cannot let anyone touch you. But then, you've been changing them in front of everyone.
Exposing them to the public.
Yeah. So now it's like, there's a disconnect over there, and now the child is like, okay, but you always, so it's a bit harder for them. But when you're always taking them to a different room, they already know, okay, when I'm getting naked, I have to go to, a private, get some privacy where no one can see me.
Yeah, that's very true. And also teach your child that if somebody comes and touches you, or just does something that is uncomfortable to you, just come and tell me. Be open in a way that your child can just come and tell you anything and everything. And also trust your child. If your child tells you, oh mommy, this person did this to me, or they touched me, just believe your child. Don't doubt your child. It doesn't matter if it's your family member. Like, just give your child a benefit of doubt and protect them as much as you can. And the other point I actually wanted to say, don't use words like if you're teaching them private parts, and I know this is very sensitive, like when you're teaching them private parts, don't use other words. Like, don't use oh, this is your cookie, this is your this is your plum, use the actual word. Because actually I heard this story. There was this little girl, her mom used to tell her that her private part is cookie. And when she would go to school, there was this one teacher that was touching her private parts, and she was just molesting her, and the child did not understand what that was. So she went and told another teacher and said, oh, this teacher is touching my cookie, this teacher keeps touching my cookie. And the teacher thought, oh, it's okay, it's good to share, it's good to share your cookies. And one day I think she told now the parents, and that's when they found out that this teacher has been really molesting the child. And that lady, she was telling people, like, when you are teaching your children, don't lie to them. Don't tell them, oh, this is your cookie, this is your, don't use those fake or nice names, just use the actual words, the actual names.
I'm gonna piggyback on what you just said about trusting and believing your child when they come to you and they let you know that this has been happening.
Yeah.
So I was watching this thing on TikTok where people are just speaking about encounters or experiences with molestation, either when they were children or their children. It's just a big topic about that. So this one lady, she goes over there and she gives her personal story. And so she's a security guard at a prison for men. And she says that her boss would not let her go to the side, this specific side for men. So from what she said is that people who go to prison for child molestation, they have their own separate wing. The reason for that is because when they keep them with the other people and people find out what they're in for, and they find out that they're there for child molestation, they kill them. And they kill them in the most gruesome type of deaths. So in order to avoid that, they just give them their own special wing. So anyways, her boss never let her go work on that side of the wing. But this one time, I think the one who's supposed to do that shift didn't show up, but for whatever reason, he's like, okay, I would like you to go to that wing, and assist over there. So she says when she went over there, she was very, very surprised. She said that those were the nicest, kindest, most polite people she ever met in her life. She was saying they were very polite. They were like, yes, ma'am, please, ma'am, thank you, ma'am, how can we help? Very well mannered. Yeah, they were like polite and well mannered. They didn't give her any problems at all. They were helping her whatever she needed to do, anything, like whatever they do over there, the duties that the police officers do over there, they made her life very, very easy. And she could not, like, her mind could just not comprehend what was happening, because they're like, this, they don't even look like prison people in prison. They're like, how, they're such nice, well-mannered, polite people. And so that really bothered her so much. So when she went home, even though they're not supposed to, she went on the internet and started looking up their names and trying to see what they're in there for. And she said the things that she saw online, she could not believe it. They were the worst, the scum of the earth. They were the worst type of people, the things they're done to children. And so she said, like, she had an epiphany at that moment. She realized something. She's like, okay, this makes sense. These people are so nice. yet they're the worst type of child molesters. But she said it makes sense why they're so nice, because they need you to trust them with your child. They need everyone to trust them, so they are the nicest, well-mannered, well-behaved.
So they really manipulate.
They manipulate people. They it's like they have studied people and they know how to manipulate you. It's the type of people when even someone says, oh, so and so did this, you're like, no, I don't believe it. He could never do that. He is those type of people. They're very manipulative, very smart, very nice, like to make you be comfortable around them
and believe them.
Yeah, to be comfortable enough to let your child like, oh yeah, you can go to uncle whoever, auntie whoever, go, you can go ahead, because they're so trustworthy. They've built that trust. But yet, so that's just to tell you that just because someone is so trustworthy, and it goes back to what I was saying, you really don't know anyone. You think you know people, you don't know people.
You really don't know.
And it's like going, and I'm gonna change this just a little bit, it's like going back to when people are dating. Like the first couple of months, the person you meet is really not the person. That's
not the same person.
That's not the same. That's a representative. They just send the representative because they're the nicest, the most fun. They say yes to everything. But when you marry them and you bring them in the house, you're like, wait a minute,
are you still the same
who are you?
person?
They're like, yep.
You met my representative. Now this is me.
This is me. That was my representative.
Yeah.
And going back to that is most people just let us see what they want us to see.
Yeah.
We let people see what they want us to see. We're always smiling to them. We're always nice and cordial and friendly.
Yeah.
But after that, you're like, oh man, I don't even,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I was also thinking, if your child is a teenager or they're over 6 or 7 years old, and you see they have started fearing this certain person, someone that they used to be comfortable around, someone they used to love, someone they used to just play with, or someone they were just comfortable with, and then all of a sudden you see your teenage girl or your teenage boy has changed their demeanor. They have started getting scared of this person. Just take time and ask your child, just take time and talk to your child to find out why is it they're being uncomfortable around this person. Protect your child in every way you can. Yeah,
you actually have to be very aware. Yeah. You have to be always watching. It's almost like you have to be a behavior psychologist when it comes to your child. Like you're always watching, so that when there's even a slight change in their demeanor, in their behavior, like all of a sudden, they're quiet. Even sometimes it's not even to a person. Maybe it could be in school, so you never meet that person. But all of a sudden they start shutting down. They're always quiet. They're always in their room. They don't want to interact. Like you can clearly notice a change in their behavior. It's good to come to them and like, okay, what's going on? And even going further before we get to that, it's good to develop a good relationship with your child,
so they can be comfortable to come and talk to you anytime.
Exactly, that they're comfortable enough to come and talk to you. And like you said, always give the child the benefit of the doubt. Even if it's your like the closest person.
And I know it's hard, even if it's your brother, even if it's your sister, or even your uncle, or
your best friend,
or your best friend, someone who is very close to you, someone you think, oh, this person will never do this to my child. Just trust your child, give them benefit of doubt, and find out. Do not ignore that situation. Yeah,
because most of the time when things like those happen, even in my personal life, sometimes you hear, like in the past, you hear, so and so did this, like for example, that you can be like, oh, your friend stole from me. You're like, no, he cannot do that. You'd rather not believe it. And of course you give people the benefit of the doubt, but when it comes to children, they have no reason to lie. It's a child, they're innocent, they really have no reason to lie. So when they come to you with that information, at this point, the way I love my kids, I would break any relationship. Like my child comes first. And even to expound on that a little bit, I was reading something about people. So it's people who now are grown, and they're talking about things they wish, would have happened in their childhood or their childhoods, and what happened in their childhood and how they are the people they are now. And so this one person was saying that he felt betrayed by his parents when he was young, and he has lived with it till this day. And he said it's like, you won't even believe, it's so simple. When they were young, right? So his mom, they were going to school, and this one kid, his mom and that kid's mom, right? She was like a very beautiful mom, those women who are doing good. And the mom of now, this kid who's giving the story, really wanted to be like that lady. It's like, you like their life, you like how they look, how they dress, how they behave, so you want to be like them. So one day when they were getting out of school, the mother of the other child says to the mother of this child, "Hey, so this is your son, what not? Would you like to hang out sometime?" Oh man, she was happy, she was excited. She's like, "Yes, I'm finally part of the group." She said yes. And so they went over to their house, to visit. And so when they were there, now the kid, this other kid, they were playing with a toy. And now you play for taking turns. You play for 5 minutes, I play for 5 minutes. But when it got to the turn of the kid who's giving the story, the other kid didn't want to share. Kids don't want to share, but this kid did not want to share at all. And so he told his mom, he's like, "Mom, I he's not sharing." And so now his mom, because she wanted to be on the good side of this other mom, she's like, "Man, let him play. You keep saying you want to play. Let him play with the toy." And so and then the mom of the other kid said, "Yeah, let him play with it. You don't need it." So the whole time he never played with that toy because his mom never defended him. His mom, and that stuck with him from when he was a kid.
Wow.
He felt betrayed from that moment, and his trust in his mom just died from there because his mom betrayed him. She didn't come, to his support or. And so it went with him till now they were grown up, right? And so coming back to that thing about, forming a relationship with your child. And when I was saying about if something ever happens and, someone I will break that relationship. I will always take my child's side because if it's so easy for them to lose trust in you because you think, oh, that person cannot do that. So don't always be too quick to judge and just take your time. This is if it ever happens to you. We pray it never happens to anyone, but it's always better to be prepared than not to.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, ask God to teach you to be the parent that He has called you to be, because you might do all these things. You want the best for your child, but then there might be one thing that could happen that would, for example, break that trust, or that could happen to your child where you had no control over. So at the end of the day, it's the Lord who really protects these children. It's the Lord who protects us too. So every day, let's say a word of prayer over them.
When you really think about it, you cannot be there for a child at all times, especially as they grow older. Because you have to work, and they have to go to school and do their own things.
They have to go to college.
You cannot always be around them. So like you said, you can pray for them as they grow. You lead them in the ways of God. Like the Bible verse says. Grow a child in the way of the Lord, and they will not depart from it, even when they are old. And even when I think about it, about my personal life, we were raised from a very Christian family. Our parents, they always
taught us about God.
And my parents always prayed for us, exactly like you said. My dad would pray for us every night. My mom, the same thing too. And when we grew up, and when you grow up, eventually at some point in your life, you will come to a place where you get exposed to a lot of things that are not good. And you have to make a choice for yourself. Nobody ever forces you into anything. You can be affected by peer pressure, but at the end of the day, you make your own choices. And when you get to that place where you have to choose this path, which is is the path your parents taught you, the good path that leads to the right way, or this other path, you can be introduced to drugs or whatever, or partying, or all those types of things that might not necessarily lead to the right path. And you have to make a choice. If your parents raised you in the ways, in a good way, you'll probably choose this other side. And even if you decide to go this path that is not good, you'll go there and do your thing, and eventually you'll be like, okay, you'll come to realization that it's all it's all in vain, and you will just by yourself change your life altogether and go to the right path. But it's all starts from your parents, like you said, praying for you. It's instilled in you that even when you do something wrong, you know in your mind this is wrong. You're very aware. I know what I'm doing is wrong, and you're always hiding like Adam and Eve. You're always like trying to hide it, trying to pretend that's not the type of a person you are. But eventually it's gonna eat at you, and at some point you're gonna be like, okay, this is not how they raised me better.
Can I say a quick point before I forget? And this is off topic, it's not in regards to what we're talking about. So I heard someone say that most of the times we say that we don't hear God, but we hear him the loudest, especially when we're doing something wrong. Because how do you know that you're doing something that you're not supposed to do? Because you know very well there's something telling you whatever you're doing, it's not right. And we say, oh, I don't hear God, God never talks to me. But we ignore, and that's God speaking to us.
I think our conscience is part of it. It's like a part of our spirit that God speaks to. Because your conscience is gonna eat at you. It's like, no, you just feel like this is. And in conclusion, when it comes to our children, just protect them. Don't let them be in a situation where it might create an environment for something bad to happen to them.
Where they are compromised.
It's better to be too careful. I would rather you be too careful. Always protect your children. If they're playing outside, watch at them. If you have to take them to a bathroom, just stay there with them. You know, don't let people come too close to them. You know, you're just like, oh, you're too close to my kid, man. You have no reason. You have no reason. You have no reason getting too close to to kids. And just protect your children, and also just pray for them. Lead them in the way of the Lord, and just form a relationship with them. So if anything, they can always be open to talk to you about everything. And just keep an eye on them. If something changes, you're always watching. You can quickly realize, okay, something is not right here.
These are just the things that we are learning along the way, and we want to enlighten other people as well, so that they can be aware of these things too. But I do hope that this episode was a blessing to you. If you're new here, please make sure you like, you subscribe, you give it a thumbs up if you really liked this episode. And if you are returning, thank you so much for always coming back to watch our videos. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one.
All right, guys, have a good one. Bye.